Hello, hello, hello. I'm just checking if my mic is on. Just a second. Okay, testing, testing. Perfect, it works. Okay. All right. Okie dokie. We are here with ESRL. We are back, everyone. We are back. It's great to see with a new game, which is, it's a bit buggy. Let's put it that way. It is a bit buggy, but the handling, a lot of people much preferring this handling, which is always good. Keeps people interested in the game, which is always good for leagues. And we're back with ESRL with this new game. Like I said, a lot of handling differences in this game, so a lot more traction now than we had in 22, which is what most people were complaining about. It's just spinning for quote-unquote no reason. It's not the best change for me, because I was quite good at throttle... what's the word? Throttle management, as it were. But, a lot of people much preferring this, which is always good. So, we are here with pre-season in ESRL. It's great to be back. And we're here in Silverstone for this pre-season race, just before Silverstone this weekend in the real-life F1. And as you can see, people are running multiplayer cars and not the official F1 cars, which, is very different. But it's because there's a tyre wear bug in that even on equal performance, cars which... depending on what car you're in, your tyre wear rate is different, even on equal performance. So leagues have been forced to use multiplayer cars with, well, as you can see, creatively replicating the real-life liveries, which I think, to be honest, is quite cool. The random pit boxes is an issue for sure, but honestly, I think it's quite cool. I think it's quite cool that people can let their creative side run free with these liveries. So obviously we've got McLaren here, Cialda in a Mercedes, Clemo, well, he's got the Red Bull, Speed in is that a Ferrari? I'm going to assume that's a Ferrari. Eisenborg and McLaren, Short Marcus coming out in a... what is it going to be? Looks like a Mercedes. No. I have no idea what car that is. Oh no, that's not a car at all. Okay, he hasn't made a special livery. DTS Ayrton in an Alpha Tauri by the looks of it. Trugster in a default. Martin in a Red Bull. Matthew in a, well, again, that's not really a car. And then Godzilla in a Mercedes. Cialda sets the initial pace for 26-1 in the meantime. I've got Marcus commenting, looks like heavy rain in the race, oh goodness me. And you hate this game, you're with me preferring F1 22. I'm glad to know that someone agrees with me at least. Cialda setting the pace so far. I battled with him all season in the Cockpit Cam Championship, and unfortunately he bottled it in Brazil before we could have a proper battle for the championship in the final race. But it was a great battle, so I'm expecting him to be quite high up in the standings. Cloppit, though, keep an eye on him. He was very good in the last few sprint rounds last season, so keep an eye on this man. He's going to be right up there, and he does indeed set the initial pace. Speed Alcoholic comes through. Let's Is he on a lap? No, he's not. I don't think so. So I'm just going to ride on board with Short Marcus for a lap. Our sprint champion, our double sprint champion of ESRL, looking to make it a Division 1 championship, or he's going to have to fight NER Ayrton for that title. And Ayrton not here today, but the 3-time defending champion of ESRL, he's going to take some beating. I'm yet to see if he's lost pace on this game, but I highly doubt it. As Short Marcus, let's enable all of this. I'm a little bit rusty. It's been a while since I last commentated. I do apologise. But Short Marcus coming through Sector 2 now, just past Sector 1, and through Luffield and onto this long straight down towards Copse, which I believe is going to take flat out. It is flat in these cars. He's just lifted a tiny bit, not quite confident enough to go flat on the banker, but it is definitely flat in these cars this year. As through Maggots and Beckett's, nearly invalidating through that first left-hander, or right-hander rather, and DRS down the straight towards Stowe now in his, well, car. I can't say in his Mercedes or something like that, but through Stowe he goes, down towards the last couple of corners, the final chicane into third gear, not shifting into second, which is interesting, and across the line he goes, a 26.4, long way off Cloppet, and I think he'll be disappointed with that, but more to come from Short Marcus. The two Hasses from the Cockpit Camp Championship, Cialda and Godzilla, second and third. Clemo as well, keep an eye on him, because he was very, very fast in the sprints, the last couple of races in the sprints that he did. But here he goes, a 25.7 is currently pole position, and beaten Cloppet out by 0.2 of a second for now. And then DRL Lancer will be the last to settle up. He's in his Audi, so it seems. Let's turn on gap leader. There we go. Prefer that. As Lancer coming through, looked a bit shaky there through that section of track. Through Copse, does lift a bit, I think, but I wasn't watching, to be honest. He goes through Maggots and Beckett's, and down through Chapel towards, all the way down towards Stowe now. It says purple sector, but the bug from last year is still here, in that it'll show us a purple sector when it's not actually a purple sector, so do ignore that. Down towards the final couple corners he comes in his Audi on those soft tyres, over the curb a bit. That's going to cost him a bit of time through the final couple of corners, and it's a 26.4 though from Lancer, which is quite far up, in fact beating Short Marcus's lap. So no slouch in the Audi is Lancer. I haven't seen them before in ESRL, so good to see a newbie on the track. Matthew XY3, I can't remember if I've seen you before, but everyone else I have seen before, either in the Division 1 of ESRL last season or in the Cockpit Cam Championship. Eisenborg, Cialda and Godzilla all hailing from that championship. And Martin, briefly. So down comes Martin to the line to start another lap. Here he goes in his Red Bull. Through turn 1, flat through there, flat through turn 2, keep to the inside as much as possible. Down on the brakes through turn 3 at about the 70-meter mark, and a bit of an oversteer moment at the exit, and that's going to cost him some time through turn 4 as well. Down he comes, DRS enabled, trying to get the slipstream, but on this year's game that's just going to get marbles on your car, so is it worth it? That's what we've got to ask ourselves now. Is it worth it to go offline to get marbles? Because they do affect the car, but he was 0.2 up through Sector 1, another bit of a moment out of Luffield, down towards Copse. Is Martin going to be flat through Copse? Yes, he is. No lift from Martin, and easily flat through there. No problems at all. Through Maggots and Beckett's now. Flat, flat, flat as well through the left-hander. Wow, but it's a bit too much on the exit, and he's into the wall, and he's out of the session. Oh dear. That's a shame for Martin. He clearly had a lot of pace in that car. He's going to have to show it in the race as opposed to qualifying now. DTS Ayrton in his, what I'm going to assume is an AlphaTauri. Coming through now as well, but Cloppit, he's 3/10 up nearly, and this could be a lap for pole from the McLaren driver. Through Stowe he goes, down towards the last couple of corners, down on the brakes, gets a bit over the curb, that's going to cost him a bit, but down towards the line comes Cloppit. It's a 25.8, and it did cost him, it cost him a lot in that last section. Just a small mistake, and Cloppit unable to challenge for pole. What about Cialda? He's a 10th down in Sector 1. Godzilla coming through Sector 2 now. As Speed Alcoholic goes up to P2. He's looking really, really fast on this year's game, so keep an eye out for Speed. Banker lap puts him into P2, but still not as fast as Clemo. The German, I believe. I think I remember that right. Godzilla, a 10th up in Sector 2. Down towards the final sector now. What's it going to be for Stowe? You can get on the power so early at Stowe now, and indeed almost at full throttle before he's even gotten to the apex. And Godzilla down towards the last few corners. Across the line for Godzilla, and the Mercedes does improve, but not enough to improve his position. Still P5 for Godzilla. Cialda back in the pits. Cloppit not improving. Speed Alcoholic is on an in-lap. Clemo, is he improving? He's coming through Sector 1 now. No, he's a 10.5 down on his previous best, so that was a very good banker from Clemo. Short Marcus, though, he's half a 10th up through Sector 1. Can he keep that going through Sector 2? Hello, Lopez. Good to see you in the chat. It's been a while, but we're back with ESRL. No Myra or... oh, goodness, I've forgotten his name now. Oh, dear. You know who I mean. The Finnish drivers. But Short Marcus, 2.5 tenths up through Sector 2. Down towards the final sector now. Vetsku, that's the one. Yeah, you're right. Through Stowe he goes. A little bit, I think, a tiny bit of a moment on the exit, but not enough to really affect him. Down through the last few corners, a bit of a moment there on the exit again, and it's in fact cost him a lot of time. He was 2.5 tenths up, and he's lost 2 tenths of that in the final sector, so more to come from Short Marcus, but he's still stuck down in P6, and even with the 2.5 tenths improvement, that wouldn't have gotten him up to P5. I'm not sure how legal this is in ESRL to cut corners in qualifying, but it's pre-season. I'm sure he won't be penalised for it. I expect he won't do that in in the actual season. Cloppit is Finnish too. Oh, okay, wow. A lot of Finnish drivers this season. Good to see. Short Marcus not on a lap. Yeah, no one's on a lap right now. So I am hoping that the stream quality is better than it was last season. I'm not sure how true that is. It's certainly better on my screen because I have a PS5 now. So it's a lot smoother and a lot nicer to watch as Lancer goes for a spin on the exit of Stowe, trying to improve in his Audi. Yeah, it is good. Good to know. That is very good to know. Trugster on his outlap. Everyone else in the pits, apart from Short Marcus coming in as well. So everyone just waiting for the clock to run down before they start their final lap. Trugster in his, well, electric livery. It's difficult because as a commentator you want extra descriptors for the cars, so like in the Mercedes, in the Red Bull, but when it's multiplayer cars and not everyone has done their custom replica livery yet, It's difficult as a commentator. But on the plus side, look how beautifully close all these times are. From 1 to 10, only 1.1 seconds, but I mean barely a tenth between each place. There's 2 tenths between 5 and 6, but Marcus has more pace in him. I think Lancer probably does as well, as he's spun through Stowe on his last attempt. And Martin definitely has more pace in him, so it's looking pretty competitive, but obviously the triple defending champion NER Ayrton is not here today for the pre-season race, so he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, I'm sure, when the season begins once again. We had the revelation from him last season, at the end of last season. That Brazilian Grand Prix, which is the last race of the season, he said, "Oh, this is the only race I've practiced properly for in ESRL ever." We were like, "What? You win every race so easily, and that's the only one you've practiced for? Goodness me." Oh, well. Hopefully the new game has slowed him down a bit, but I highly doubt it. Does Vetsku drive any more in this league? I think he is signed up again. I think so. I think he's just not here today for the pre-season race. So hopefully we'll have a full grid for you when the season begins, I believe next week. But for this pre-season race, just the few who want to get some good practice in have joined us on the track. Trugster completes his lap and goes up to P9. That's a really good effort from Trugster, who was looking really good in the sprints, to be honest. At the end of last season, he was really improving quite a lot, and even won a couple of races in that sprint championship. So Trugster, do keep an eye on him. He won't be near the front, I don't think, but he will be upper midfield, I would have thought. So do keep an eye on him. Also, ESRL changing its points system this season. They're going for the real F1 point system, so just the top 10 scoring and with the same points score as real F1, just to increase the realism, I suppose. So yeah, it's going to be some feisty battles for those top 10 positions. Eisenborg, just a tenth up in Sector 1. I was reading the last lap. But still an improvement for Eisenborg so far in that orange McLaren. I'm assuming that's supposed to be. As through he goes in Sector 2. Through Copse. Full throttle through there, flat on the throttle pedal. Hackers and Beckett's for Eisenborg. Can he get a good exit out of Chapel? Looks like it. DRS open. What's the time going to be? 4.5 tenths up for Eisenborg. This could see him all the way up into the top 6, perhaps, if he can nail the final sector. Full throttle straight away once he hits the apex of Stowe, down towards the final couple of corners. The Vale chicane, and down through the final corner onto the Hamilton straight and across the line for Eisenborg up to P6. He does indeed get himself into the top 6, but what about Clemo? Is he on a lap? He's half a tenth up in the first sector. Cialdo improves to P2, but it's not enough for pole. Speed Alcoholic, is he in sector 1? No, he's not improving at all, so Speed Alcoholic will not challenge for pole. Clemo, half a tenth up still through sector 1. Can he improve? Lancer out of nowhere up to P2. Cloppit into P1. Pole position provisionally for Cloppit. Clemo, can he challenge him down through? No, he's not. He's invalidated. So Clemo will not be taking pole unless DTS Ayrton can perform a miracle, which he can't. Cloppit takes pole position right at the end, 25.5 by 2 tenths, and Lancer up to P3 out of absolutely nowhere at the end as well. Cialda in P4, Speed Alcoholic P5. Short Marcus did improve quite a lot in the end, but it's still only enough for P6, which I think he'll be disappointed with. Godzilla down in P7 in the end. Eisenborg P8. Loads of improvements on that final run. Very, very nice to see. And a great qualifying session for this pre-season race. Look how close all the times are. All 11 of them within 1.2 seconds. And none of the times particularly massively ahead or behind one another. And obviously Martin, we know, can improve. He crashed out after his first attempt. So this is looking very, very competitive, this grid. I can't wait for the season to start, but we'll focus on today's preseason race for now. As we wait for Clemo to get in the pits, and there he goes. Clemo's Red Bull looking good. It certainly is. Pole position today, and could we see a challenger to NER Ayrton? Goodness me, I really hope so. But there goes Cloppit at the front. Pole position for him. Clemo in P2. And Lancer in P3. Cialda P4. Speed Alcoholic and Short Marcus make up the third row. Godzilla and Eisenborg 7 and 8. DTS Ayrton and Trugster on the fifth row. And Matthew and Martin, who didn't quite get a lap in, so keep an eye on him, make up the back row of the grid. It's going to be an interesting race. Do I drive in any league? I drive in two leagues, but 3 divisions. I drive in APPF1, Tier 1 and Elite. Tier 1 on Fridays, Elite on Sundays. I have a Twitch channel where I stream all my races, which is called GGhost27, I think. Yeah, it's my YouTube channel name, but with 27 at the end. So if you want to go ahead and follow that, feel free. Be very happy to see a new follower. But I also drive in Invictus Racing League on Wednesdays. But all my commentary streams stay here on YouTube. So my races that I drive in on Twitch, and as well as other things. It's supposed to be a variety channel, but I haven't done much outside of F1 for quite a while. And then here on YouTube are my commentary streams. But heavy rain for the race start, as Marcus predicted. So this is going to be very interesting. Wet conditions, a bit of an enigma this year. They haven't, for some reason, put wet time trial in the game, which, is very confusing, but, it is what it is. So these conditions will be tricky to navigate for our drivers. And remember, ESRL, Elite Settings Racing League, no assists on any of these drivers. Not even the racing line. So they've got to get used to the conditions as quickly as they can. It's waiting to get started. I wonder if it's bugged, because this is taking a while now. It could be bugged, in which case we would be remaking the lobby. It's fingers crossed that it's not. Here we go. There we go. Oh, the clock just doesn't show up for spectators anymore. That's good to know. But off we go for the formation lap. Right, disable telemetry and tyres. Everyone on the full wets, so no need to keep tyres on the screen. Yeah, all good. Okay. Just practice to drive with no assist. Only racing line, but that is no assist for me. Well, I usually drive only with the racing line as well. I can drive with it off, but I'm slower. So if if I'm not in an elite league, then I'm going to have it on. Because I also just find it more fun with it on. Yeah, power to you, man. It's, you know, if there's any game to turn off the assists, it is this one, because it's never been easier to get the traction down than in this game. So yeah, it's a good place to start with no assists driving. Maybe we'll see you here in ESRL one day on the track, Luppers. But Cloppit leading us around from pole. You drive with controller. Oh yeah, that is tricky. I drove with controller for a long time, and then got a wheel a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, 2.5 or so. Never really looked back. I do very much recommend a wheel. It makes the game a lot more fun, I will say, with a wheel. But I also appreciate it's very expensive. It's a big purchase, a wheel, because you want to get a good one as well. If you're going to get one, I do recommend the Logitech G29. Don't get a Thrustmaster. They are awful. The pedals will just break. But anyways, here we go. So Eisenborg and Godzilla going past their pit boxes, but everyone getting into their starting places now as we get going. Here we go. 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the British Grand Prix pre-season in ESRL. It's a good start from Cloppit. Great start, in fact. He is clear of the rest. Clemo under pressure from Lancer, though. Round the outside goes the Audi, and it'll be the inside for the next corner, but then the inside for Clemo on turn 3, and Clemo tries to stick it round. Lancer loses the rear a bit, and there's 3 wide further back between Cialda, Short Marcus, and Speed Alcoholic. Cialda has come out in front in that battle, but these two still side by side through this corner down through this straight. It's still Lancer on the inside of Clemo, and he's made the move, it seems. Clemo just a bit tentative on the brakes, and there's side by side between Short Marcus and Speed as well, just behind. Great racing between all these guys to start this race. Martin already up to 10th. Eisenborg down to 11th at the start. Terrible start for him. Trugster as well down to 12th. And Godzilla down 2 as well. Down 3 now as TF Martin gets past him on the run to Cops. As Short Marcus and Speed side by side through Cops. And Speed getting the better run on the exit. Better traction, and Speed is ahead in that. I'm assuming it's supposed to be a Ferrari. But Speed up ahead. Matthew now getting ahead of DTS Ayrton, who's gone a bit deep into Beckett and across the grass, and he's going to lose a lot of positions and could be down to last place as Clemo and Lancer continue to battle out, but Cloppit already pulling a 1-second lead over those two behind him. So a great start from Cloppit on this first lap. Short Marcus and Speed side by side once again through Vale, and Short Marcus gets ahead this time, but Speed, I'm sure, is not going to let him go. As Matthew up 4 positions in the first lap. Great start for the blue and red car there. All of the gaps are, for some reason, not working, so I apologize for that, but not really much I can do about it. That is this game just seeming very buggy at the moment, unfortunately. But Lancer still keeping up in P2, and Clemo struggling to keep up at this early stage. Lancer catching up to Cloppit though in his Audi, who had a fantastic start in that McLaren, but at the moment struggling to keep it from Lancer, who's come out of nowhere here in this Audi. Looked a long way back in quali until that last lap he did and shot up to P2. And Short Marcus putting pressure on Cialda as well. Speed Alcoholics there too. These three nose to tail at the moment. A bit of a gap to Clemo ahead, but these three the ones to watch, as Lancer now within 3/10 of Cloppit. Cloppit really struggling in these conditions compared to Lancer, and Clemo seems like he can't keep up at the moment. Look at them, those two ahead, a long way clear, and Lancer right behind Cloppit now. Can he make a move into Stowe? No, he can't. And these gaps are so ridiculously out of sync. I do apologize, there's not much I can do about it. It's short Marcus round the outside of Cialda and gets the move done for now. Can Cialda get the switch back in Vale? It's going to be very difficult in these wet conditions, and indeed no, he can't do it. And the gaps look like they've sorted themselves out at the end of lap 2, which is good. As Lancer still putting the pressure on Cloppit here into turn 3. We've got a virtual safety car though, which nullifies this battle. It looks like Godzilla has crashed out of the last corner. Is there damage to that Mercedes? Yeah, no front wing on that car. So Godzilla going to have to come into the pits. Are we going to see him retire, I wonder? We could do. He's got Devon Butler's helmet, which, well... you know, if if you want to be seen as a good person, I wouldn't wear Devon Butler's helmet, I'm not going to lie. But Lancer and Cloppit at the front, still just keeping tabs with each other under this VSC. Everyone has to keep to a set delta. And now, there we go, green flags, and DTS Ayrton has gotten a drive through. He didn't keep to that delta, he's gone too far over, and he is going to have to come into the pits for a drive through penalty, and that's going to cost him big time. He's going to be hoping for a safety car, as well as Godzilla, who's going to have to come in for a new front wing, as Lancer putting a huge amount of pressure on Cloppit now. As they run down towards Stowe, what's the ERS situation? It's 70% compared to about 70 as well. Both similar amounts of ERS. Lancer around the outside of Cloppit, he tries, but he can't quite get the move done. Cloppit sealing the inside line, and no way through for Lancer yet. He has a look to the inside just to scare Cloppit a bit, and it looks like it's worked, because Cloppit very, very squirrely on the exit, and Lancer's going to go round the outside through the final corner. They're still side by side, but Lancer has to back out there before the start-finish line. But these two are going to keep battling, I think, for a while. I do wonder if the rain is going to stop at some point, or if we're going to be heavy rain throughout, as Lancer locks the rears, but so does Cloppit. They both made the same mistake, and who's it going to cost more, as Lancer goes for the switchback on turn 4. Brilliant stuff from Lancer, and Cloppit has no answer. Lancer in front in his Audi. Cloppit going to try and go for it down the inside into the next corner. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he can, but he's gone deep, and Lancer takes the position back. Cloppit, nothing he can do. But Lancer's made another mistake there, and he's a bit squirrely on the exit again. This is great battle between these two, but Lancer finally keeps the position ahead, and this has allowed Clemo to close the gap up. We got yellow flags in Sector 2. I think that's Eisenborg off in that orange car at the back, but Cloppit just trying to stay with Lancer now, but we saw that Lancer is probably the faster of the two cars on pure pace just from the last few laps, and indeed through Beckett's, Lancer so much more grip than Cloppit, and Clemo taking full advantage, and the pole sitter down to P3 now. He's going to go for it down the inside at Stowe though, but Clemo gets the switchback. Perfect stuff from him. Martin's retired from the session, and it's a perfectly timed overtake from Clemo as the safety car is out. So Clemo up to P2, and Lancer taking the lead. His gap is going to be nullified, but he will be happy to be in the lead of this race. Clemo back up to where he started, and Cloppit down to P3. Really, really struggling in these wet conditions, it seems. Perhaps went for too dry a setup for qualifying, and that's maybe why he got pole. Short Marcus, in the meantime, he'll be happy to see the safety car. He can close back up to the front 3 after a good start for him. Up 2 positions to P4 after a fantastic battle with Cialda and Speed Alcoholic at the back there for 4, 5 and 6. We got cars coming into the pits for, is that intermediate tyres? Is that intermediate tyres? Yes, it is. Intermediates for DTS Ayrton, Trugster and Godzilla and Eisenborg. They have gone for it. The rain does look a lot lighter, it has to be said. Obviously, there were quite a few cars at the front who'd already gone past the pit lane when the safety car came out. So we'll see if they're all going to peel into the pits on the end of this lap for the Inters, like the drivers behind them. But an interesting situation here. Somehow we're only on lap 5. It feels like we should be on like lap 13. But obviously the wet conditions lengthening the race. Let's see if the leaders go in then. Right, who's going to peel into the pits? The front two in, Clopit in, Short Marcus in, Cialda in as well. Lancer gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane though, and how critical is that going to be? All of them into the pits, and this means that DTS Ayrton is going to take the lead of the race, but he's got a drive-through penalty. Remember, for speeding, I think that's what that is. It is indeed drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. He didn't take it when he had the chance, and it's really going to cost him because he now leads this race. Trugster, after Ayrton comes in for his stop, for his drive-through, is then going to lead the race, and we're in for a fantastic restart here. What about Eisenborg? Is he going to jump everyone as well? He's coming towards turn 1. He's not going to jump everyone, but he will jump a few people. Eisenborg all the way up to P8. So only up a couple of positions in the McLaren, but still very decent for Eisenborg. So the right decision was made by those behind. I think those in front just got caught out at the wrong time. So they'd already gone past the pit lane. And DTS Ayrton now leads the Grand Prix. Lancer has a 5-second penalty for speeding. What other penalties are there? 5 seconds as well for Clopit for, I'm assuming, the same reason. And Short Marcus with 3 seconds for track limits. So a lot of penalties on the board, and well, Trugster could yet win this race, but so could Cialda, Speed Alcoholic. I mean, it's anyone's game right now with all these penalties on the board. Of course, as another safety car comes out, or the weather gets drier and they go to slicks, Lancer and Clopit will have to serve those 5-second penalties in the pits. But DTS Ayrton, with that drive-through, he's going to have to wait to take it once the safety car comes in, and then Trugster will be leading this race. So it's only pre-season, but it's still a very exciting race so far, and we're only on lap 6. Safety car in this lap. 20 laps of racing to go at the end of this one. DTS Ayrton leads everyone down towards the start-finish line. He dictates the pace as the leader. As soon as the safety car peels into the pits, DTS Ayrton can choose when he wants to go, and no overtaking until the start-finish line. When's he going to go for it? DTS Ayrton in that AlphaTauri. And he comes towards Vale. He's leaving it late. Has he gone yet? Not yet. Now he's gone on the exit of Vale. Has he caught Trugster napping? No, Trugster's still right with him, but Lancer has caught Trugster napping, and Clopit has been caught napping by Short Marcus. The sprint expert goes round the outside for turn 1. Can he make that move stick? There's a bit of contact, a bit of argy-bargy between them. Short Marcus up to P4 though, and Cialda going down. Who's that? Clemo going all the way down as well. Speed Alcoholic losing a bunch of positions as well. I'm not quite sure what happened. I had a bad camera angle for it. but Trugster's retired from the session. He's out of the race. Could that be another safety car? I don't think so soon after the last one. No, he's just retired on track. Okay, but Godzilla getting past Eisenborg in the meantime. These two cockpit cam championship compatriots. But Godzilla getting the better of that McLaren this time, as DTS Ayrton continues to lead from Cloppit. Lancer right there as well. Short Marcus there as well. So Trugster got caught out at the start. He was in P2 at the restart, and he's all the way down to last and out of the race now as Cloppit tries to find a way past this AlphaTauri before Lancer can do anything about it. Here comes Cloppit now, gets a really good exit out of Chapel. Lancer not quite as good, a little way behind. Short Marcus is there as well. Don't forget about him. But here comes Cloppit down the inside of DTS Ayrton. No, he backs out at the last second. And surely DTS Ayrton's got to come in for his drive-through, but he's got Cloppit on the inside, so he can't do it this lap. And Cloppit goes down the inside for Vale. A send from the McLaren driver, and he's going to have the outside line at the exit. Round he goes. Cloppit takes the lead of the British Grand Prix and sets the fastest lap in the meantime. DTS Ayrton now under pressure from Lancer, but no, he's putting the pressure on Cloppit. Has a look to the inside of turn one, but thinks better of it. Very sensible there from the Greek driver, and Lancer wide, and that's invited Short Marcus up the inside into P3. The sprint champion double sprint champion looking for more, as Cialda looks for something as well. The hand of rage goes up from DRL Lancer's driver in the cockpit, as Short Marcus now down the inside of DTS Ayrton. Can he be late on the brakes? He goes for it down the inside, and Ayrton has to leave in the room, and there's contact behind between Ayrton and Lancer's round. As a result, Lancer understeering into DTS Ayrton, and round he goes from the lead of this race before the safety car, and now down to P9, 5 seconds adrift or more. And Eisenborg getting past Godzilla as well, who has spun on the exit of that corner there. I think it's Luffield, isn't it? And now we've got another safety car so early on. DTS Ayrton back up to P3. Cialda P4, but another safety car. No one out of the race, but assumedly for debris or something. But another safety car early on here. 2 safety cars in 8 laps. But it's a wet race around Britain, and everyone's rusty on this new game. We haven't had league racing for a couple of months now, so it makes sense. Cloppit in P1, into the pits comes Cloppit. Short Marcus stays out, so Marcus will now lead the race. The double sprint champion, he was 6th on the grid, but he will now lead the race as Cloppit dives into the pits. Will it be slicks for Formula Cloppit, I wonder, in his McLaren? Let's see. No, it's another set of inters. He's just serving his penalty, I think, so that it doesn't hang over his head, and getting some fresh tyres on for good measure as well, which is fair enough. And Godzilla into the pits as well for a new front wing after his crash earlier on. So Short Marcus now leads the race, and I'm going to briefly leave the mic to get a fan because it's absolutely boiling in here, so I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back and with a fan to cool me down. I hope you can't hear it in the background. If you can and it's really annoying, then please let me know and I'll move it further away. Hello again. What is my favorite F1 team, or who is my favorite driver? I don't really have a favorite team. Just anything but Red Bull. I don't really like Red Bull. I never have done, even before this period of domination. I've never really liked them, because just Christian Horner pisses me off, to be honest. But favorite driver is Hulkenberg. Nico Hulkenberg's my favorite driver. Always deserved better than what he's got. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Hulk. Yes, same. Is that to hating Red Bull, or is that to liking Hulkenberg? But yeah, after Hulkenberg, I mean, I like Lewis. I like Charles Leclerc as well. And Albon I like as well, and Piastri I'm a big fan of. But here we go, short Marcus gets underway and he's caught DTS Ayrton napping here. He's already got a 1 second lead from over the Greek driver, and Cialda putting the pressure on DTS Ayrton. But Marcus, as DTS Ayrton's been disqualified for ignoring a drive-through penalty, that's really desperately unlucky. Big shame for him, because he was in a good position, but that drive-through proving very costly, not taking it as soon as the VSC was done. You should always take drive-throughs as soon as it's possible to do it, because you never know when a safety car is going to come out. But short Marcus now leads by 2 seconds from Cialda. But he's got that 3 second penalty hanging over his head, and a long time to go before the end of this race. Still only on lap 11, as Matthew now putting the pressure on Cialda down the inside. Goes the blue and red car as the Mercedes tries to hold on, but Matthew with a really good exit. Here they go down towards Copse, but Cialda holds on, and Matthew has to stick behind. Clemo's there as well in his Red Bull, looking for a way past, but Cialda currently keeping Matthew at bay and inadvertently helping short Marcus out here, because Marcus using this battle to build a gap at the front, a gap that he desperately needs with that 3 second penalty. Here comes Matthew again. Down towards Stowe he goes, down the inside of the Mercedes once again. Cialda leaves him room, and Matthew takes the position. Cialda a bit wide on the exit, and a great overtake from Matthew, who I haven't seen before in ESRL, so good to see a new name so high up and doing really well. Short Marcus sending the fastest lap, and he's looking to run away with this like he did so many times in the sprints, but he's got that 3 second penalty to contend with, and Matthew is looking like no slouch at all, as Clemo as well looking for a way past. We know how fast he is in that Red Bull, but for now, no way past the Mercedes of Cialda, as Lancer into the pits meanwhile. And Speed Alcoholic a long way back from Cloppit. I'm not sure what happened to the South African. Godzilla a little further back from Speed as well. As Clemo looking for a way down the inside of Cialda in Luffield, but no such opportunity for the German driver, I believe. As down towards Copse, it's certainly not flat in these conditions. Has to brake a little bit. But through Magnussen Beckett they go. Short Marcus up to 2.7 seconds, that gap. Back down to 2.6 again through Beckett, but gets a good exit out of Chapel and regains that 0.7 gap. But he needs 3 seconds by the end if he wants to win this race. Still 14 laps to go at the end of this one. A long way to go in this race. as Clemo looks to get the switch back on. Cialda looks to the inside, but no such luck for him, as Cloppit, meanwhile, on those fresher intermediate tyres, looking for a way through as well. Short Marcus does now extend his gap to 3 seconds and sets the fastest lap in the process. He is looking very, very good right now. He's gotten used to these conditions and seems to be the fastest driver on track right now, as Cloppit sends it down the inside of Clemo through turn 3. Can he make the move stick? No. Clemo holds it around the outside, but Cloppit round the outside again, and Clemo gets a poor exit, bit squirrely there, and Cloppit takes full advantage up to P4. They're going to continue to fight down this straight, down towards Brooklands and Luffield. Clemo and Cloppit side by side, but Clemo has to back out in the end, and Cloppit keeps the inside line and keeps position 4 for now. Cialda very happy to watch these two behind battle, as he's looking for a podium here in this pre-season race. Cloppit and Clemo just about a second behind. Matthew, meanwhile, extending a 1.5 second gap to Cialda already, but Short Marcus 3.5 seconds ahead of the blue and red car. He is expertly controlling this race right now, and the last thing he wants now is a safety car, because he seems very comfortable in that car. A lot more comfortable than he seemed in qualifying, that's for sure. As now Clemo keeps trying to find a way past Cloppit, but it's just got to stay with him for now, as Cloppit gets near Cialda. Cialda very deep there through Vale, and no opportunity yet for Cloppit, but he's right behind this Mercedes now, and looking for a way past at some point. Through turn 1 they go. No opportunity yet. Is there going to be a send from Cloppit at some point? Not yet. But there he is down the inside of turn 4, and Cialda a bit of contact wheel to wheel as they go through, but Cloppit's gotten the position, and Cialda a bit wide on the exit. Can Clemo find a way past as well? Can Cialda look to the inside? Clemo looks to the outside, goes round the way past. They nearly make contact with Cloppit in the meantime, and Clemo down the inside through Luffield now of Cialda, who's down to P5, and Clemo gets the position up to 4th place, and now continues to chase after Formula Cloppit just ahead of him. Lancer setting the fastest lap at the back, but far too far back, about a minute behind the leader at this point. Marcus extends to a 4-second lead at the front, meanwhile, with that 3-second time penalty, as Matthew just doesn't have the pace to keep on track with him, and I think Matthew's going to be under pressure from Cloppit and Clemo at some point in the near future. Hello DTS, welcome to the stream. It's unfortunate how your race ended. Very unfortunate indeed. Not much you could do about that in the end. But yeah, big shame. But we've got yellow flags. Who's that? Who is that? It's Matthew. Oh no, Matthew. It was going so well for the new name on the grid, but down to P6 now with a 10-second time penalty, which I'm sure is undeserved. He probably just skidded over the grass, and the game thought he cut the corner as Godzilla tries to find his way through. But Matthew from P2 and looking very strong all the way down to P6, and with a 10-second penalty to boot, as Godzilla now tries to find his way past in the Mercedes. Down the inside he goes of the new driver to Division 1, and he's made the move stick as well. Matthew can't do anything on those, I'm sure, still a bit overheated tyres, and Godzilla up to P6. As Cloppit 5.8 seconds behind Short Marcus, 5.9 now, 6 seconds behind Short Marcus. Marcus dominating this race now after qualifying 6th. Look at this pace he has unlocked in his car. Outrageous stuff from the British driver. As Kloppet, Clemo and Cialda are all going to have to battle for P2 here, and it's final 2 spots on the podium. But DRS is enabled! DRS is enabled! And that is the indicator for slick tyres usually, but no one's come in for the slicks. Sean Marcus still leads this race. There we go, first one in. Godzilla into the pits for slicks. The drivers still don't think it's dry enough, even with DRS enabled, which is shocking to me. But Kloppet and Clemo and Cialda all staying out, as well as Speed Alcoholic for now. It is still raining. I am surprised the game has allowed DRS to be enabled. It does still look wet out there, to be honest. And can we see spray from the cars in front? There's not much spray, but there still is spray from cars in front. So let's ride on board with Godzilla when he comes out the pits, because I don't think anyone's going to make a move anytime soon. But here comes Godzilla out the pits. Let's ride on board with the Mercedes driver. So down towards turn 3. He's looking fairly tentative. Eisenborg into the pits for mediums as well. Godzilla looking fairly stable on those softs. It is definitely still raining, but Godzilla looking fairly stable on the soft tyres. A little bit deep there for the apex of Brooklands, but no troubles for Godzilla. I think it is drying out, and I think Godzilla's going to gain a lot of time here as he's already come in. Short Marcus in, Kloppet in, Clemo stays out again in that Red Bull. I think that's a mistake. It is definitely drying out, but Clemo thinks it's still just about inters for now. Short Marcus into the pits from 6 seconds in front. Is it going to be softs or mediums? Mediums for the race leader, or the former race leader. Kloppet goes for the softs. Speed Alcoholic is going to put on a set of mediums as well. Cialda into the pits for mediums too. So most going for the mediums. Matthew as well for the same. But those on the softs are going to have an advantage. Godzilla coming to the last corner. Is he going to gain time? He was just behind or just in front of Matthew before now. He's at a purple final sector. He's coming round towards turn 1. He's just behind Speed Alcoholic, but he's well in front of Matthew. And I think it was a good decision from Godzilla that everyone else too worried to come into the pits just yet. And Godzilla has gained some time. He's not quite ahead of Speed. 1.8 seconds back, but he's gained a lot of time on Matthew there. And Godzilla cooking indeed. DRS enabling system is bad. I'll take your word for it. I haven't actually seen it in action yet until now. But Clemo still on those intermediate tyres, and I think he's going to regret it. He's 0.8 up, but how much up is everyone else? It's definitely dry. There's no rain now. It's dried up so quickly. I think it's caught Clemo out just how quickly it's dried up. Into the pits he goes. It's about 28 seconds you lose in the pit lane here, so Clemo's going to drop all the way back behind Cialda probably, maybe even behind Speed as well. Into the pits he comes. Short Marcus down towards Stowe. He's 5 seconds ahead of Kloppet, but Kloppet with those soft tyres is going to be very, very fast at this point. And he's going to slow down towards the end as the tyres age, but at this point he's going to definitely put some pressure on Short Marcus to get a move on with that 3-second penalty. Clemo just exiting the pits now. He's going to be well behind here. Look at this, Cialda and Speed coming around the final, coming around turn 1. Clemo's not even out the pits. He's going to be behind Godzilla here. Is he? No, just about ahead of Godzilla, but Clemo losing about 2 seconds there or more. And Godzilla nearly into the back of him with the superior grip on those up to temperature soft tyres. Clemo needs to get those mediums up to temperature as soon as he can, but he's got Godzilla for company, and he's going to struggle to get onto the back of those in front with no DRS, especially if he starts battling with the Mercedes. As round they come through Sector 2. Lancer setting the fastest lap on those fresh softs at the back in the meantime, as Godzilla continues to put the pressure on this Red Bull. Speed Alcoholic right behind Cialdo as well. 4.3 second gap to Marcus now from Cloppit. So Marcus is going to be sweating a bit here, but that big gap he pulled in the intermediate conditions is paying dividends right now, as here comes Godzilla round the outside of Clemo, up to P5 for the soft tyre running Mercedes. And good stuff from him as Speed Alcoholic gets past Cialdo as well through Stowe, up to P3 for the South African, who is looking a long way behind in the wet conditions, but seems to be more on pace in the dry. Those medium tyres working well and setting the fastest lap as well, just to rub that in and confirm how much faster he is in these dry conditions. Speed Alcoholic looking for a podium here in this pre-season race to really set a marker down. Short Marcus still trying to hold on to this 3 second gap, but Cloppit is eating into it. And I will say the softs last quite a while. They really do. You can definitely get them to the end from where they are. They will be a little bit dodgy by the end, but it's definitely possible to get them there. And Cloppit could have made a very good decision here. 3.4 seconds to Short Marcus. That gap keeps coming down. Cialdo putting pressure on. Lance has retired in the pit lane, I think. Yeah, that's in the pit lane. He has decided no point racing anymore to the end, which, you know, fair enough. 25 seconds behind, and it's only pre-season as Clemo gets past Godzilla in the meantime. The Red Bull up to P5 as Cialdo gets himself a 3 second time penalty, and that's going to be very costly for him. It's going to drop him down to P6 as it stands. Speed Alcoholic continues to keep the pace and keep that podium position for now, but Cloppit setting the fastest lap, and Short Marcus is in trouble here from the McLaren driver. Cloppit looking to take the pre-season victory here. Chose the soft tyres in the pits, and it could have paid dividends. Marcus with that 3 second penalty is going to cost him big time as it stands, because Cloppit is now nearly within that 3 second range. Can he get there? Cialdo putting pressure on Speed as well. 3.1, so Marcus gaining a bit of time there, but it's surely only a matter of time until it drops into the 2.9 range and then keeps dropping below. But when are those soft tyres going to start to deteriorate for Cloppit? That's the question, and Marcus is going to be hoping that it's very, very soon. It seems the engine sound bug is back in the spectator view as well, I've just noticed. Clemo getting himself a 3 second time penalty, which is good news for Cialdo for keeping that position from the Red Bull at least. As the Mercedes DRS enabled on the back of Speed Alcoholic. Can he make the move in the Mercedes? Cialdo looking to go around the outside. Now the switchback at Stowe, but he can't quite do it and goes deep on the exit as well. Could have been another track limits warning for the Mercedes. The Italian, I believe, as they go through Vale. To stick behind the Ferrari. I'm just going to call it a Ferrari for now. But are those softs already starting to go for Cloppit? 3.3, the gap's increasing again for Short Marcus. And Cloppit needs to get a move on here. He hasn't got it below 3 seconds yet at all, and that could be a psychological blow as well. Just being so close to getting within that range and then losing some time again. And not quite getting in the range, it can be a psychological blow that can affect your driving. And indeed, Cloppit is losing time now, and he's in fact out of ERS, which might be a better explanation, although Marcus isn't exactly full up on ERS either. He's down below 10% now too, as Cialdo looks to make a move on Speed still in this Mercedes, but with that 3 second time penalty is going to cost the Italian big time come the end, even if he does get past Speed, as Speed goes very deep at Chapel. And here comes Cialdo now, round the outside he goes, and the Italian up to P3 in his Mercedes, but Speed is still right behind, still doesn't have a penalty, so still all to play for that last place on the podium. I think Cloppett and Marcus have got 1 and 2 sorted out, but in which order we still don't know quite yet. But it seems like Marcus might have this wrapped up if Cloppett is already losing time on those aging soft tyres. But here comes Clemo now looking to make the move on speed as well. South African just trying to keep tabs with Cialda. As long as he stays in DRS, he's got a good chance of keeping Clemo behind. But as soon as he falls out that DRS range, Clemo is going to be right there, although a little bit of a mistake there from the Red Bull out of turn 5. Speed with the DRS enabled. Not close enough to Cialda to make a move, but he doesn't need to. He does not need to pass this Mercedes. At this point, he just needs to be within DRS range, and he will take that last spot on the podium. But Cloppett is now gaining time again, and there it is within the 3-second range, and that's a big psychological advantage for the Finnish driver. 2.7 now as those softs get up to temperature, or well, no, those softs get into a good range again. I'm not quite sure what was happening before. It was losing quite a bit of time, but now it's coming down again as Clemo putting the pressure on speed, but DRS on the Ferrari means that no chance for the Red Bull. Godzilla does not have the pace to keep up with these guys. I think the DRS train is costing the Italian any chance of staying with them, as these three continue to go for it. Nose to tail through the final corner, as Cloppett now 2.2 seconds to short Marcus. Where has this pace come from? What was happening on the last few laps? Because Cloppett's just gained about a second in 1 lap, and short Marcus now in real danger of losing this race win. 2.1 seconds. He needs those soft tyres to die as soon as possible, does short Marcus, but it's just not happening, as here comes Clemo round the outside of Speed Alcoholic. Speed is going to keep it down the inside for Brooklands, but Luffield is going to have the outside line, and Clemo takes the position, but a 3-second time penalty is still going to cost him that podium in the end. In fact, it would, as it stands, drop him to P6 in the Red Bull. Speed knows all he has to do is just stay with them to get on that podium. Cloppett now within 2 seconds of short Marcus. I think that might well be game over for the race leader. That time penalty really coming back to bite. And it seems he perhaps chose the wrong tyres at the pit stop. Going on to the mediums, wasn't confident in the softs, but they do go a long way. They go a lot further on this year's game than they did last year, especially on this track. And I think Marcus is finding that out, but it's only pre-season, remember, so it's a good learning exercise for the British driver, as everyone comes through to start lap 24 of 26. 3 laps to go in this one. It's been an entertaining pre-season race. Hopefully the season starting, I believe, next week will live up to the same bidding. But Clemo still on the back of Cloppett here. Nose to tail as they go. Clemo trying to take this position from Cialda. If they can pull 3 seconds to speed in the next couple of laps, then it could be for a podium, but I think that is quite far-fetched an idea. Speed, no slouch in his Ferrari, and as long as he stays within DRS, he will keep that podium position. And doesn't get a penalty himself, of course, but a mistake from Clemo out of Chapel cost him quite a bit of time, and Cialda holds on to that position for now. It's going to be P4 after penalties as it stands, but still a position to fight for. And it's only pre-season, but these drivers, so competitive. They're going to want the best position they can, and it'll give them confidence into the season as Speed makes a big mistake, huge error from Speed, and the exit of the last corner has cost him about a second. And could that be the break that Clemo and Cialda need to pull 3 seconds on the South African in these last couple of laps? It could well be, because Clemo's going to have DRS here. Talking of DRS, by the way, clop it within a second of short Marcus. And this is definitely game over for Marcus. Clopit looks like he's going to win this race. After that time penalty for Marcus, it would be so exciting if there was no time penalty on Marcus, but it takes the excitement out of it if Clopit doesn't have to overtake him to win. But still 1.5 laps to go in this one. Eisenborg still racing around like a trooper at the back, even though he knows there are no more safety cars, and he will finish in last place in this pre-season race. But it's good practice, isn't it? Always good practice to get some racing in. We're all rusty at this point in the game life cycle, and all practice is valuable as short Marcus gets passed by Clopit, and Marcus tries to hold round the outside and does. Meanwhile, Clemo and Cialda were side by side as well, still are. Cialda trying to have the outside line for Vale, can't quite do it. And they have to go nose to tail again, but Clemo retakes P3, but the time penalty is still going to drop him behind Speed as it stands, as long as Speed stays with him. Clopit and Marcus still fighting side by side as they go through turn 3. Marcus and Clopit still, they go side by side. Who's going to have DRS, I wonder, as they go down the straight towards Brooklands? Is it going to be Marcus? No, it's not. Neither of them got it. So no DRS on either car, and Clopit is going to take the lead of this race. And the Finnish driver looks like he's going to start off this pre-season with a bang to take pole position and the win in this race. Clemo just ahead of Cialda. Speed just about staying within 3 seconds as well, as they continue to fight. Cialda wants this position though, really going to want to finish what's going to be P5 in the end, because Godzilla has actually I'm not sure, it's going to be close for P4 or 5 because Godzilla not far away, but Cialda looking for that position. Short Marcus is completely lost time on Clopit. Look at that, already 1.8 behind as Clopit comes through Stowe, but here comes Cialda, now almost hits the back of the Red Bull as pulls to the outside as late as possible. Yellow flags in sector 3. Who's that, I wonder? Not quite sure, but Cialda and Clemo still side by side. Clopit comes round the final corner to win the British Grand Prix, but I'm going to stick with these two because they could go side by side in the final corner, but they haven't done. Cialda takes P2, short Marcus down to P3 in the end. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. P4 in fact, another penalty. Weird. I'm not sure what happened at the end there, but Godzilla P5, Speed Alcoholic finishes P2 in the end somehow. Cialda does get on the podium. Short Marcus in P4, Godzilla 4 thousandths behind in the end in P5. Clemo finishes in P6 in the end, which I think he'll be disappointed with, and he'll be glad that it's only pre-season. Matthew finishes in 7th, and Eisenborg coming round the last corner now to finish in P8. Weather changed quickly. It did indeed. It changed so fast. But, I mean, that's Britain for you, to be fair. Game limitations aside, that is just Britain. So, yes, Clopit takes driver of the day. I think that's deserved, to be honest. It's between Clopit and short Marcus for sure. I think Clopit deserves it, and takes the race victory there. For this pre-season race, it'll be a great confidence boost for them going into the new season. And a new podium animation for the new game. Don't see that very often. So that's good. But there are your final standings for this pre-season race around Silverstone. Cloppit takes the race win with Speed Alcoholic in P2. Short Marcus losing a bunch of positions at the end. I'm not sure why. I think he ran out of fuel. I think that's what happened. I think he ran out of fuel, actually. That would make a lot of sense. So he drops to P4 in the end. Cialda dropping to third, or going up to third after Short Marcus running out of fuel, I'm assuming, at the end. Godzilla in P5, Clemo down in P6 in the end, which I think he'll be disappointed with. Matthew in 7th, Eisenborg in 8th, and Lancer, Trugster, Martin and Ayrton unable to finish the race. DTS Ayrton, I should say. Was that? I think that was 4 drivers within a second there, which in terms of finishing times at the end, which was quite fun. But there we go. There is your pre-season race. Hopefully a sign of things to come. Hopefully we'll have full grids for when the season does start, I believe, next week. So keep an eye out. It'll be streamed right here on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe or follow my Twitch channel as well. That's where I drive. All of my driven races are there. All of my commentary streams are here on YouTube. My Twitch is gghost with the number 27 at the end. But thank you everyone so much for watching, and goodbye.